Welcome back to the LinkedIn studio at Cannes. Get ready because we have an extraordinary guest joining us. I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce none other than Michael Johnson, a legend in the world of athletics. Throughout his career, Michael Johnson has conquered the track, earning an astonishing 4 Olympic gold medals and 8 World Championship gold medals. His dominance spanned multiple events, as he once held the title and Olympic records in the 200 meters and the 400 meters, along with the world record in the indoor 400 meters. Not only that, but Johnson boasts the world's best time in the 300 meters. So today, we have the honor of delving into the mind of this sporting legend as he shares his insights even beyond track and field, experiences, and wisdom. Michael, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can do that. You can do that intro again.
You know what?
I enjoyed it. I was enjoying it.
You like take it in? No, but it's real. And honestly, I have to say, this conversation is very special to me personally, because having run track myself, having a family that was all about track and field. We're from Jamaica, so there's a massive love for track and field there too. I'm Jamaican American. One of my favorite memories is of my family just sort of sitting around the TV watching you compete in the Olympics. So this is, when I heard I had a chance to talk to you, I was just over the moon about it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Such an inspiration.
Thanks.
So I want to start with some lessons. So I just shared some amazing accomplishments that you've had in your career, and I imagine there were many lessons from that you took away from it.
There are tremendous lessons with sports.
Right.
You know, you hear people talk about it all the time. You know, you use analogies with sport. Few people really understand sport at the elite level. So I've tried for years to sort of help people understand and bridge that gap between the lessons you learn in sport and how you apply that to other things, business as an example. But starting with my athletic career, I was fortunate to really learn some of these lessons early on. So, you know, you hear about dedication and hard work and all of those things.
Right.
And it's kind of cliche, to be honest. I mean, everybody in professional sports is working hard and dedicated. But the athletes that are able to be, as you talked about, consistent, and that's the thing that I'm most proud of in my career, is the consistency throughout the years. To establish that consistency takes an understanding of yourself at a very deep level, understanding sort of what your strengths and weaknesses are, how you function, how do you get the best from yourself on the day, right? With the Olympics, you know, it's one shot, right? So how do you get the best from yourself on the day? How do you get yourself in that emotional state and mental state to be ready on the day to produce the type of performance that you're capable of? Training is easy relative to those things. I mean, everybody can go out and train hard, but trying to get an understanding of yourself and sort of what makes you react to things the way you do, and how do you get control of that if it's something, for example, how you react to pressure, right? If that's an issue for you and you don't react well to pressure and it makes you want to go back inside of yourself, but you can't do that as an athlete, right? And you can't do that when you have to present. You can't do that when you have to, you know, deliver, right? So you have to figure out, okay, well, how do I then get control of the pressure? How do I get control of the nerves so that they don't control me, so that I'm able to deliver on the day? So that's just one example of something that I learned early in my athletic career that I was able to then apply throughout the rest of my career, that then resulted in all of that consistency. But I was then able to take those same things and apply them to other areas of my life as a television commentator, as an entrepreneur, for example.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Because there's the physical aspect, and I think the aspect that people don't talk about as much is the mental aspect, and the distinction with that being from this level to getting to the next level. And I imagine there's no greater pressure than standing on the line, the starting line of the Olympic Games or any other huge competition.
When you're standing there, you know that, I mean, in 19 seconds, if you're good at it.
Right.
It's 19 seconds. You know, 19 seconds from now, when this gun goes off, I'm either going to be the Olympic champion or I'm not going to be the Olympic champion. So, and in that moment, there is no more training to be done. You know, and as you know, a lot of the races and competitions in any sport are won and lost in that moment just before the competition starts. You're physically ready, but then when you have the athletes that don't deliver, and then you have the regrets, it comes from knowing that, well, physically I was ready to deliver a much better performance than that, but for some reason, mentally I wasn't able to get in the mindset that I needed to be. in order to deliver the performance.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when people think about track and field, they often think about it as kind of a solo sport, but we know there's a team element to it. I mean, even in maybe your training partners, the people around you, and then also we love relays. We love, 4x1, 4x2, 4x,
Right.
all the DMR, distance
Yeah.
medley relay for those people who are not sure what that even means. So there's a lot of opportunities to work together as a team. What qualities do you feel are essential to effective leadership in a team, and how any specific strategies to foster a good team dynamic?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think people often don't realize that because the primary focus in athletics and track and field is on the solo events, and certainly that's the pinnacle. But at the end of an Olympics, now we come together, 4 people come together for the 4x100 meter relay, or 4x400 meter relay. Yeah, and it is exciting because it is that one team aspect of what is largely a solo sport. What most people don't realize is that at the end of that Olympics, and I was able to win 4x400 meter relay gold medals at a couple of Olympics and world championships. 3 days prior to that, the people that I'm competing on this relay with were my primary rivals.
Wild.
Right?
That's wild.
These were my primary rivals, and we
Yes.
spend all year competing against each other. We don't really know each other. We just compete against each other. We know each other as rivals. We're a lot of times there's not a lot of love between us.
I mean,
Right? That's sport, right? And but at that point, and this is critical, I think, for teams. You come into that, you're able to put all of those things aside. Now we understand what the goal is as a team, what is my role in the team, and how do I do that best for the team. And if I do my part, then we win. And a big part of that starts with, and this is critical, from given the context of what I just explained, and that we're
Right.
rivals, is the first thing is don't do anything that's going to be disruptive to the team. So whatever that thing is that you have with that athlete as a rival, don't bring that in here into the team, right? Leave that.
Yes.
That's your responsibility.
Right.
Nobody should be telling you that. That's your responsibility. I had
put
to
all those differences
check
to the
those
side
things,
and-
and come into the team, clean slate. All right, what do we need to do? As you know, and then it's a matter of, where am I going to fit best in the team? How am I going to be best for the team, not for myself? So anchor leg, of course, is the primary glory leg,
Yes.
for 4x400 meter relay. The best person's always on the anchor. But there were a couple of relays where it was going to be better for me, and I'm the best of the team. It's better for me to be on second. So I
Yeah.
ran second.
Right.
We won.
Do what you need to do.
Nobody remembers what leg I ran. Just remember that we won, right? They certainly would have remembered if we lost and I was on that.
That's right, right. It brought the win home together.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I have to talk about this, especially as a marketing nerd. We have to talk about the golden shoes.
Of course.
We have to talk about the golden shoes because they're such a big part of your brand.
Yeah.
No, just to tell people a little bit about it. So this was 1996
Yeah.
Olympics, and wearing those iconic golden shoes earned you the name, the man with the golden shoes. Now, when you think about brand associations and memory structures, like that is one of the
Right.
things that
Yeah.
is connected to you. What inspired you to make such a bold statement? How did it affect your mindset in performance?
Yeah. So it's an interesting story behind the gold shoes. So we started working on that project 2 years before the games, and the project was based on what I needed from a performance standpoint, and we were trying to make the lightest shoe ever, but with all of the sort of stability that I needed for what I do around the curve and how I run, and how my foot interacts with the track. So basically, I felt to that point that the footwear was actually not allowing me to be as fast as I can be. So
Yeah.
great partnership with Nike, and they said, look, let's make you what you want. So we started on this project. It was always going to look different than any shoe that had ever been out there. And that was something that I recognized with the Olympics being in America, home Olympics for me. It's a moment, and I had already announced that I was going to attempt to make history, becoming the first man to win the 200 meters and 400 meters out in the Olympics. So, it was a moment that needed to be captured. I was always aware of that,
Yeah.
and so I was always the aesthetic of the shoe was not the primary driver in this whole project, but I was always aware of an opportunity with that. So anyway, so we worked on the footwear, the shoe, for 2 years. And in the final prototype, my shoe designer, Toby Hatfield, brought it to me, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this is amazing. It looked like a mirror. It wasn't gold. The prototype wasn't gold. It wasn't gold. It just looked like a mirror. So it just reflected whatever, was around it. So you could see your face in it. I was like, this is cool, right? And my coach was right there, and he said, I don't like it. And I was like, why don't you like it? This is so cool. And he was like, it looks really cool right here. He's like, I love it. Like, but when it's on TV or people sitting in the stands, it's just gonna look like a silver or gray shoe. And as soon as he said silver shoe, I turned to Toby and I said,
oh, no, gold, gold.
I turned to Toby and I said, can we make that in gold?
Yeah.
And he had this shocked look on his face, and the entire team was kind of like, oh my God, and but they were all about it, and so that's how it became gold. I mean, we worked on this for 2 years. The color took 5 seconds. That's all everybody remembers. But it was that thing that, I felt at that moment as well that, this is how I'm going to really sort of put a stamp on this moment that I have. And, but I never did think about, if I end up with silver,
I mean,
it's not going to really work, and this is going to be the greatest meme ever. But it all worked out, of course.
It sure did. I remember sitting there with my family and being like, all of us were like, well, he better win. He better win now.
Yeah, it's all in at this point.
Yes. So let's pivot just a bit and talk about your projects you're working on now, what you're passionate about now, what you're committed to. So in your role as an entrepreneur, award-winning television commentator, speaker, coach, what are some of the points or things that you'd like to talk about and share with the audience, and maybe something you can share with the audience of marketers listening in today?
I think, I speak a lot on performance. People are trying to organizations are trying to do amazing, audacious things and have goals and, trying to be consistent and trying to, continue to build off of that success. But, there's a lot of really bad information out there when it comes to how you actually do these things. There's a lot of cliches and a lot of sort of, especially around how you take lessons from sport. I absolutely cringe sometimes when I hear what some people talk about, and I'm like, that's absolutely wrong, So I try to sort of dispel a lot of the sort of information that's out there and try to get people to think about it in a different way that's much more impactful, So when it comes to individuals or organizations, overcoming challenges, trying to do great things. Taking my experiences that I was able to take from my athletic career and sort of bridge the gap between sport and business by explaining how I was able to take those things and apply them as an entrepreneur. Coming from an individual sport, one of the things, a very valuable lesson for me was once I started as an entrepreneur and now I'm leading and building a team and I have to be a part of this team, I can vividly remember, thinking for longer than I would have liked, for a couple of years that, I've got to help my team, to win by explaining to them and showing them how I do it. And then realizing that, everybody works differently, everybody's motivated differently, everybody's inspired differently, people have different strengths and weaknesses. And so, eventually I was able to figure out, my job as a leader is to help them figure out how to get the best from themselves by helping them understand, okay, this is how I figured out how to get the best from myself, how I work best, how I deliver my best work, my best performance. And this is how you can figure that out for yourself as well. Now, that's as far as I can take you.
Right.
So, those sorts of things. But I think that, there's a lot of sort of cliche information, hard work and dedication, believe in yourself, You just failed 3 times. Now how am I going to believe in myself, And it's not just about believing yourself. It's about figuring out, where does that belief come from? Where does your confidence come from? And helping people understand that sort of thing. Then you can believe in yourself. But just telling someone, I just got to believe, and never give up, It sounds great in the moment. It's very
it does
inspirational.
Sound great. It looks great on a poster
right,
too.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for dispelling those. And I agree. I think there's so many lessons from track that you can take to business and sport in general.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we do live in a world where sports and social issues often intertwine. And, you know, athletes possess a platform. You have a platform that reaches so many people, making you a powerful agent of transformation should you choose to take on that mission. So what role do you believe athletes can play in driving social change and advocating for social justice issues?
Yeah, I think athletes understand that they have an incredibly powerful platform, but it's very, very tricky, with regard to how you use it. And I think that athletes can do a lot to help with these issues. It may not necessarily be, for some, it may not necessarily be using their voice. I mean, I think, in my own journey, I spent years doing lots of work, funding, providing financial resources, providing my time as well, serving as ambassador to different organizations that were working on the change that I wanted to see. Starting my own foundation to find the next generation of young leaders and support them. There are these young people around the world that were using sport, that use sport as a tool for change in their communities and providing resources to them, those sorts of things. But it wasn't until summer of 2020, in the wake of George Floyd, and I see all of these young people out there marching, protesting, doing their part to sort of raise awareness around the change that we need to see in our country, in America, and around the world with regard to institutionalized and systemic racism. And I thought, if they're out there, I want to help. I wanted to be out there. I couldn't for various different reasons. But I felt like I want to help and I need to help. And it wasn't until then that I started then using the most powerful tool that I have, which is, my voice. But I also felt like, I'm much older than, these young athletes now, but I feel like, in that span of time, there were certain times where the voice wasn't necessarily the most powerful thing an athlete could use. It was, your position and being an ambassador, being out there and using your time and resources. But where we sit now with society, because of how society is functioning at the moment, and because of the types of issues that we're talking about, the voice is the most powerful thing you can do or use. And athletes do have an incredibly powerful voice, but you have to be comfortable in that space. You have to be comfortable using your voice. So, if that's not your thing, using your voice in terms of how you support, that's fine. The only reason I would have a problem with an athlete is if you're not helping in some sort of way. You have an incredible opportunity to help, so help. There's so many different ways you can do it. If you choose to use your voice, that's great, because the more of us that do, the easier it becomes for others to do it. I can't say that I would be doing it as much as I do if it weren't for so many other athletes as well that give you that comfort that, hey, I'm not the only one out here, doing this.
It shows you you're not alone. And then also for the people you're supporting, they know that people have their back. That's amazing. So let's end on a question that hopefully will provide some encouragement to the audience. This is actually from a couple track and field athletes, and some of the questions were also from track and field community for you today. But the last question here is, about how do you cope with setbacks or things that are challenging? What advice do you give people on bouncing back from disappointment? We'll wrap on that question.
Yeah, I think, that's part of the journey. There's no doubt about that. And it can be very, very difficult. I mean, we have to acknowledge, and you have to acknowledge when there has been that setback that, this is difficult. I don't like it, and not try to put this positive spin on it immediately. Allow yourself to be disappointed, allow yourself to sort of unpack, why this is happening, why this setback has happened, what caused this. Sometimes it's not even our fault. And then you just got to move on and know that, the odds of whatever this sort of odd thing that happened that caused this setback probably isn't going to happen again, right? But then also, is there some ways that I can prevent it? Can I get ahead of it for the next time? But also, we also tend to sort of kind of make the lows lower than they actually are, the highs higher than they are. You know, and sort of a friend of mine wrote a great book about being neutral and how to stay how to stay neutral in those moments and not get too low and not get too high. You know, about things. Certainly, you don't want to try to put again like a positive spin on something that realistically you know this sucks, right? Right. So I think that but that's also knowing where your confidence comes from, what drives you. So getting back again to that sort of understanding yourself really well. I mean, when I've had setbacks, it's knowing what drives me. So how do I move forward by focusing on the things that drive me and that get me up and every day to go and sort of push the rock up this hill, right? Yeah. But at the same time as well, understanding myself as an individual, that my confidence comes from being realistic about what I know and what I believe. And what I know and I believe is that I'm extraordinarily talented to do this job, right? So this is as an athlete, not so much as an entrepreneur. That was harder. I had to pull on a lot of other resources for that. But as an athlete, my confidence came from knowing that I'm really talented and extraordinarily talented to do this. I work really hard, so I can, but that's where my confidence comes from. For other people, it's other things, but it's understanding where that comes from that helps you to be resilient in those moments.
Excellent advice and a great note to end it on today. Wish we could talk much, much more, but I want to say thank you. This was very special for me, and I know it was special for everyone watching as well.